In this video, we are going to be painting this graphics card. When it comes to graphics cards, white ones are generally more expensive, new or used. Not only that, even if I wanted to spend a little bit of extra money for a white card to save me the hassle of painting, they're sometimes hard to find. Take a look at your graphics card listings on your local market or even on eBay. What color are the majority of the cards there? Probably black or some shade of black, right? Even when I specifically type in white plus whatever graphics card I'm looking for, it's still hard to find listings, and when I do, they're most of the time crazy stupid expensive. So instead of paying a stupidly high white parts tax, I grabbed this card on a pretty good deal with the plans to paint it. And this is a can of Rust-Oleum Painter's Touch Ultra Cover Paint and Primer in semi-gloss finish that I bought for $7 at Home Depot. For $207 total, I don't think I would have been able to find an equivalent performing white card to this. Or at least I wouldn't have been able to find one in the time frame that I had to get this build done. Let's paint this thing and hope it doesn't end up looking like crap. So first things first, I have to take this apart. We're going to be painting the fans, fan shroud, as well as the back plate and the expansion slot bracket here where the rear I/O is. So yeah, let's take this apart. So with these fans, ideally you would pop them off of the hub, but I have pulled on these things really hard and they do not come off. And from my research, these are not disassemblable, at least not easily, and I have not seen any tutorial online that shows in detail how to safely take this apart. I don't want to risk breaking this fan, so I'm just going to leave it as is. And when I spray paint, I am going to tape off this section in here so that nothing gets in there. So I'm not gonna sand this because honestly, I think that's a little bit too much work. The card has texture all over it, like on the fans. You can see that some of the EVJ lettering is embossed, and on the shroud there's like these dimples. So sanding everything completely and evenly with those texture on it would be pretty hard. You're definitely gonna miss spots where, you know, it goes from smooth to the embossed or the dimples. I don't think it's worth trying to sand. I have spray painted PC parts before, both metal and plastic. I did that for the Incredible Hulk PC actually, if you've seen that video many years ago. And the end finish came out really good without any sanding using this paint and primer. So I'm kind of hoping to get that kind of good finish here without having to do all the prep work of sanding. Because yeah, that's just like added work and added materials of having to get the different grits of sandpaper, as well as just making a mess when you sand and all the like dust gets everywhere. So now I'm going to wipe all this down with some isopropyl alcohol. I have 91% here because this stuff is relatively cheap. You could even probably go as low as like 70% or whatever the more common one is at the store. It's just how much water content is in it and how much longer it might take to evaporate or dry up. This is just to clean off. I mean, you can see here, there's dirt, dust, and then probably finger oils all over this stuff, so. Alright, everything has been wiped down. This is ready to be painted. So I've got my pretty sophisticated paint booth set up out here. I mainly have this because I don't want dirt and debris and stuff being blown into it, so that's why I wanted the walls on the paint booth. But yeah, I have all the parts laid out. I taped up the connectors so paint doesn't get into there, and I stuffed the fan hubs with some saran wrap so that paint can't get into the spinning portions, the moving portions. And then I have this lifted up with just some Velcro so that I can get the edges real good. It is a nice and warm day outside, so hopefully this dries up quickly between coats. The idea here for painting is I'm gonna never start or stop on a part. You start off of it, go across evenly, and end off of it. The start and the stop of when you press the nozzle down is going to be the most uneven spray, and I want the most even coatings I can get. And the goal is light coatings, and eventually it'll build up over time. So we're not in any rush here to get it covered on the first, second, or even third spray. Just nice, light, even coatings. Wow, this stuff goes on pretty thick. I mean, I was trying to do pretty light coatings, but it already got a lot of the coverage. I guess that's the paint and primer of it. So yeah, I'm gonna let this dry for, I think it's like 5 minutes between coats, and then do another coat. I'm pretty happy with how it looks, so I'm going to take all these pieces and bring them inside so I can let them fully dry. Alright, so I'm going to have the part sitting in front of this box fan here. I'm just going to turn up to the max settings so that we can get a lot of airflow blowing over the paint. That's going to help it dry a lot quicker, and once that's done and it's ready to be handled, we can check it out in closer detail as well as reassemble the card.
Later that night.
Alright, so the parts are now dry. Let's take a look at how they came out up close. For the most part, I think it came out really good. The tight spot in here, you can see a little bit of what looks to be like splotchy chunks of paint that got caught in there. And then this part, I royally screwed up. This was when I had this edge facing down on the cardboard and I didn't properly lift it. So some of the paint actually got caught on here, and it just ripped a chunk out. I'm kind of mad about that because that's the only super noticeable imperfection on this whole card. I even got this pretty well. So you got the EVJ logo saved pretty well, and there is a little bit of dark spot in there. I think I can live with that though. Yeah, in there too. So just some of the little tight nooks and crannies, the paint didn't get all the way into there. And here's the back plate, which I mean, it's just a flat white plate. There's hexagons and like the EVJ, RTX, or GeForce, the red line. You can't see any of that anymore. It's just completely flat plate now. And on the back side, here's just some of the paint overspray that kind of got caught in it. Let me remove this, protected the thermal pad. And then we get to the fans, which these had the little embossed EVGA logo textures on it all over the fan blades. And as you can see, it still spins with no issues if I can get it to balance on my palm without the fan blades hitting my hands. But yeah, there is some spots where there's like chunky spray and it picked up on the paint and clumped it up, but simply wiping it and it comes off. So yeah, I'm actually really happy with how the fan blades came out. They were a bit of a pain because they have like they're a little bit of coverage or overlap. So getting in there and getting the entire blade white took a little bit longer than I had hoped for. And then we have the last expansion slot bracket piece. So yeah, this is again a pretty flat, easy piece to do. This came out very clean, but everything came out clean except for my mess up here, unfortunately. This is so annoying because it wasn't properly lifted. Just gonna be a lesson learned for next time, I guess. So I'm gonna assemble the card back together now. Let's hope I remembered where all these different little screws go. Alright. Here is the card. Fully assembled. I mean, it is a lot plainer than before because all the markings and the different shades of black and gray on the back plate are gone. But it is pretty clean. This would look really good for a vertical mount. But fans spin just fine. Get a little bit of the EVJ logo there, as well as there. Here it is from this side. So I'm happy with it. It's not perfect, and I know where I messed up, but yeah, lesson for next time. I do want to quickly address painting the fans, because when I talked about spray painting this card in a past stream, some viewers mentioned that it wasn't a good idea because it could throw off their balance. And honestly, I don't think that's really an issue if you're mindful to spray evenly. As I was spray painting, I was rotating all the parts to get an even coat. And at the end of the day, the layer of spray paint on this is so thin that I can't see it being anything but negligible. If that's something you're concerned about, just don't paint the fans. I didn't even really need to paint them because for the build that this is going in, the fans will be facing downwards and there's so little space under it that no one's really going to see them anyways. Also, to address any effects on the thermals, I mean, not really much concern there either in my opinion. Again, thin layer of paint, not even thermal insulating paint, just general purpose paint. It's not gonna somehow dramatically keep the heat from escaping from the backplate here, that, you know, which is still a primarily large piece of metal with a lot of surface area subject to air flowing from this direction, going over it and exhausting that way. So yeah, I think it's gonna cool it down just fine. If you think this is going to insulate the backplate in some way, you know, enough to damage the card or cause thermal throttling and stuff like that, then I don't know what to say, except maybe spray painting your card is probably not for you. And final disclaimer, as you can imagine, painting a card like this will very likely void your warranty, which doesn't apply here because this card is well beyond its warranty. But if you're thinking of painting a new card or one that's still within warranty, keep that in mind. That's gonna wrap it up for this video though. Hope you guys found this either entertaining or informative in one way or another. Let me know down in the comments below, have you ever painted a graphics card or any other PC components before? And how did that go? And also, how do you think I did with this paint job based on the close-ups that I showed? Personally, if I had to grade this, especially with that like ding in there on the fan shroud, but everything else looking pretty good, I'd probably give it like an 8 out of 10 if we assume that a straight out of the factory original white graphics card is the definition of a perfect 10 out of 10. It's only when you like get really close and you hold it at the right angle, you know, with the light shining on it, that you can tell that it's spray painted because of the texture and not like an originally white card. But once this gets slotted into a PC though, and it's behind the tempered glass and there's parts surrounding it, it'll look more than good enough considering it was, you know, done with a $7 can of spray paint. And I actually have a decent amount left too. I probably used like 4 out of the $7 to paint this thing. So, you know, I have enough to maybe not do another whole card, but a decent amount of other components like RAM or something. But yeah, I want to thank you all as always for watching and for continuing to support the channel. I want to thank the channel members and the super gifters for their above and beyond support. As always, be safe out there, and I will see you all down in the comments as well as the next stream and or video. Bye.